पापा श्रीनी जय, सद्गुरु श्रीनी जय, स्वामीनारायण भगवाननी जय तथा अनंत अनादि मुक्तोनी जय। A humble prayer in their lotus feet and our Guru, Anadi Muktaraj Param Pujya Narayan Mama and Leela Masi's lotus feet, to augment this assembly with their divinity and grace, and to enhance our knowledge and guide us towards them. So last week we walked through stages 4 and 3 of hierarchy in status quo or phase of operation. As part of that, we learned that Vasudev Brahm, the deity of stage 3, worships Moodakshar, stage 2 of hierarchy. However, Vasudev Brahm sees only the immanent form and cannot see the transcendent form. Of Moodakshar. Infinite Vasudev Brahm resides in the brilliance of one Moodakshar, just as infinite human beings reside in the brilliance of sunlight. Infinite Vasudev Brahm resides in the brilliance of one Moodakshar. The brilliance of Moodakshar, or the immanent form of Moodakshar, is the sustainer and the soulful Godhead of Vasudev Brahm. Moodakshar has 3 types of devotees or mukta: Anadi Mukta, lovefully and blissfully merged with the form of Moodakshar; Param Ekantik Mukta, those who enjoy the bliss in the vicinity of Moodakshar; and Ekantik, those who worship Moodakshar but have not yet realized the divine form of Moodakshar. Moodakshar worships Lord Swaminarayan but can only see the immanent form of Lord Swaminarayan. They cannot see the transcendent form of Lord Swaminarayan. Transcendent form of Lord Swaminarayan is visible only to his mukta. Moodakshar has a subtle desire to create universes and to liberate souls as his mukta. Infinite Moodakshar reside in the brilliance of Supreme Lord Sri Swaminarayan. The brilliance of Lord Swaminarayan, or the immanent form of Lord Swaminarayan, is the sustainer and soulful Godhead of Moodakshar. So this is where our hierarchy ends, in stage 1, in the Supreme Lord Sri Swaminarayan. Supreme Lord Sri Swaminarayan, as we all know, also has 3 types of mukta: Anadi Mukta, lovefully and blissfully merged with the form of Lord Swaminarayan, Param Ekantik Mukta, those who enjoy the bliss in the vicinity of Lord Swaminarayan, and Ekantik Mukta, those who worship Lord Swaminarayan but have not yet realized the divine form of Lord Swaminarayan. We will spend more time in stage 1 next week. Within Swaminarayan philosophy, there have been several attempts to explain the knowledge in Sri Vachanamritam. Most agree more or less on the hierarchy up to stage 3. But when it comes to stage 2, Moodakshar, some have interpreted Moodakshar as the divine brilliance of Lord Swaminarayan. Some have interpreted Moodakshar as Mukta of Lord Swaminarayan. And Abji Bapashi has explained it to be a separate category altogether. Those who mention Moodakshar as divine brilliance are unable to clearly explain what is Akshardham, the divine abode of Lord Swaminarayan. They try to explain it away by saying Akshardham and Moodakshar are synonymous, which further confuses a deep student of Sri Vachanamritam, since that explanation does not add up. Those who mention Moodakshar as Mukta are unable to explain the desire for creation in Moodakshar, since a Mukta is devoid of any desires except for enjoying the bliss of the Murti, and as an Anadi Mukta, even that desire doesn't exist. Due to this, they unknowingly disgrace the Mukta of Lord Swaminarayan by envisioning them to be desireful. The complete and all-encompassing explanation is the one given by Sri Abji Bapashi. Moodakshar is a category in itself. Akshardham is the divine brilliance of Lord Swaminarayan, or the immanent form of Lord Swaminarayan. And Mukta are the devotees of Lord Swaminarayan, who are able to see the transcendent form of Lord Swaminarayan. These three are distinct from one another and should not be confused with each other. Now, since there is no reference to be taken, there is no other set of scriptures available, for those who really want to understand what makes sense, the best is to read every Vachanamritam and map these three theories to every Vachanamritam and see which one makes sense. That's the only way to put a rest to these conflicting ideas or thoughts in one's own mind, if one is not able to build a faith or trust in the philosophy explained by Sri Abji Bapashi. So this brings us to the end of our journey on phase of operation of the entire perishable and unperishable existence. Let's now move on to the phase of creation followed by phase of destruction or deluge. Let's first look at what science says about creation. The most popular theory, as we discussed last week, is the Big Bang theory. This theory states that there was immense energy packed in a tiny speck the size of an atom, 10 to the power minus 33 of a centimeter, and was heated at 4,480 degrees Fahrenheit. The very early universe cooled from 1 decillion Kelvin to 1 billion Kelvin in just 100 seconds. The cooling was very rapid. This was followed by a massive inflation phase, which happened at a speed greater than light, and further rapid cooling as well. This inflation was not a random splatter, but a very organized and methodical expansion. Inflation was followed by constantly expanding universe that we live in. Physicists have captured the sound of Big Bang using radio waves and microwaves, and I have included a link to that sound in the slide for those who are interested. With the cooling of the universe, the visible matter and the dark matter was formed. We have related this dark matter to Mood Maya. The galaxies that we see would not have formed if there was no dark matter. Dark matter was discovered by a physicist named Vera. Planets closer to the Sun orbit at a speed greater than planets away from the Sun. For example, Mercury orbits the Sun at a speed 10 times faster than Pluto. So when Vera started doing her research, she was expecting the same with the stars in the galaxy revolving around its center, that the stars towards the center of the galaxy would be revolving faster than the stars on the edge of the galaxy. However, after observing 90 stars in Andromeda galaxy, which is our closest neighbor, it was determined that all stars in the galaxy moved at the same speed of 250 kilometers per second, irrespective of their distance from the center of the galaxy. This was found to be true for all other galaxies. The only way this could have happened was if there was uniform mass across the galaxy, rather than it being concentrated in the center, as well as there was mass around the galaxy to keep the galaxy together. This invisible mass was called dark matter, since it could not be seen. Dark matter does not interact with anything around it. The only form it interacts in is gravity, which, as we have seen in the past, is very weak. The dark matter is so strange that it does not even interact with itself. Based on gravitational lensing, physicists have determined that when two galaxies collide, the colliding visible matter in the galaxies slows down, but the matter in the dark matter in and around it does not. It is because it does not interact even with itself. So while there has been enough evidence that dark matter exists, we have not yet perceived it in any form. So scientifically, we do not really know much about Mood Maya, except that Mood Maya exists. Spiritually, we know that all the galaxies and the entire universe is either formed of Mood Maya or is born from Mood Maya. The current extent of the universe is 150 billion light years. It has also been determined that the galaxies do not exist randomly but form clusters and a network. Throughout this network and all around it is the dark matter. Dark matter also determines the behavior of these networks and clusters. The largest cluster found so far is 1.4 billion light years across. Now, this network of galaxies and clusters of galaxies is very similar to the neural network in our brain, or is very similar to a lighted map of a country seen from space, where cities are like clusters and the lighted roads between the cities are few galaxies forming a pattern connecting two clusters. So along these lines, a few weeks ago we had looked at the idea of universe being a living organism. While science is just about toying with this idea, we know through our spiritual knowledge that Mood Maya is a living entity. And there are many such other living entities in the universe. So, we know that after Big Bang, the universe cooled down, matter is formed, many force fields are generated, many space-time continuums were created, and the world as we know it came into existence. We also know that this world is constantly expanding. So far, we have talked a lot about space, but we have not spent a whole lot of time on the time part of space-time fabric. So let's take some time to understand this dimension. Einstein was the first to propose the theory of space-time continuum. He was the first to propose that time also was a dimension, and like space, it was relative. The way Einstein explained this relativity was how a tower clock would appear to a person traveling away from it at speed of light. Since the person is traveling at speed of light, and the light from the clock is also traveling at speed of light, the hands of the clock will not move at all for the viewer, no matter how much time has elapsed. So this was a little complex example for some people to understand in Einstein's time. So they had asked him to simplify this. And what Einstein said was, well, When you are with friends in a party, the time flies, and when you are working hard in the sunlight, the time slows down. So he basically showed that time, like space, is relative. There is research being done on brain which shows that time slows down for us in presence of red light, meaning we are able to do more in less time in a room that is lighted in red. So time is not absolute, but it is relative. And the moment we call time relative, it means that it is not constant but changing based on some factors or is changing with paradigms. Today, physicists have proposed many different theories on this time dimension. Some say that time will cease to exist once the universe is destroyed. Some say that time is cyclic and will keep coming back with a cyclic Big Bang. Some say that time will exist even when the universe is destroyed. Some say time is a straight line and time travel is not possible, whereas some say that time is a loop and time travel is possible. Some say time is a holographic projection of future on the present and the past. In Hinduism, it is said that the Trinity can see the past, the present, and the future for the 14 loks, whereas some deities like Goddess Parvati chose to stay only in the present. But the ability to see past, present, and future means that there is a way to see and know all three. It's just that we do not know how. Some physicists are researching not only on how past affects the present, but also how future affects the present. One of the experiments they have done is that they give gentle magnetic nudges to subatomic particles and measure their behavior at different times, for example, at 1:30 p.m., 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m., and so on. However, only a few particles are measured at 3 p.m., not all of them. After the measurements are taken at 3 p.m. through a random selection, the physicists observe the pattern of previous measurements from 1:30 p.m., 2:30 p.m., and 2 and 2:30 p.m. for those randomly selected particles. As it turned out, the future event that was going to happen at 3 p.m., which was randomly decided, affected the behavior of those particles at earlier measurements. If the concept is a little confusing to understand, it is enough to know that science now believes that not just the past affects our present, but even the future affects our present. Anadi Muktraj Param Pujya Narayan Mama used to say that time does not exist in the divine world. There is no concept of space and there is no concept of time, which makes sense since the divine world is beyond Mood Maya and therefore beyond the effect of any and all space-time continuums. He also used to say that the divine, unperishable world cannot be understood with the knowledge of perishable world. the question that arises is, souls get liberated. So earlier they are not liberated, then they get liberated. Devotees become mukta. So earlier they are devotees trying to attain the murti of Lord Swaminarayan, and then they become mukta. So there is a concept of earlier and later state, even in the divine world. So there is a concept of time over there as well. The easy way to explain it is that in the divine world, there is divine time, which is very different than the time we know. A more complex way to understand is to go back to the concept of quantum computer that we had talked about earlier. In a quantum computer, the switch can be on and off at the same time. In other words, a quantum computer can exist in two different states at the same time. Let's take this one step forward and think of combined existence of perishable and unperishable world in terms of a state machine. State machine is a concept of advanced mathematics that can be applied to physics. A very simple example is that a state machine is a collection of multiple states and lines connecting those states. In this state machine, let's imagine one state where soul is bound by the veils of perishable world, and the other state where the veils of the soul are removed. Combining this with the concept of quantum computer, both these states can exist simultaneously at the same time. This concept is the closest way of scientifically explaining time in divine world, and it is difficult to even imagine with our physical body and mind. So the best is to understand that the divine time is different than the time as we know it. So that was a little bit about time in our creation as we know it scientifically and spiritually. Now, we have been talking during our journey that our world is limited. Along these lines, a physicist has proposed a theory called theory of causal diamond. Its mathematics is complex to describe, but in a nutshell, it states that given a region in space, we can only determine a fraction of all the information there is to know. If we started building equipment to grasp all the knowledge at all the instances of time, the equipment will need more space than is available, and the universe will get converted into a huge, massive black hole. Based on his theory, this physicist has determined that there are 10 raised to 10 raised to 123 or 10 raised to 1230 bits of information in the universe, and due to the physical limitations, we can at the most collect only 10 raised to 10 raised to 90 or 10 raised to 900 bits of information. And this is if we had the liberty to use all the resources that are available in the universe and just collect information and not do anything else. So even if we had the intelligence and the resources, the laws governing our world will prevent us from knowing it all. So this physicist says that it is hubris to believe that we can know it all. We cannot know it all, and we should leave some things to nature. Similarly, physicists agree that due to the limitation of mathematics and physics, we cannot see beyond our universe. We cannot see beyond Big Bang. We are limited by speed of light. So scientific story ends with Mood Maya. As Lord Swaminarayan has already explained to us, no one can go beyond Mood Maya except for souls doing endeavors for spiritual progress. However, there are speculations in scientific world on what could be beyond that. Most agree that there are other universes or believe in multiverse. There are many theories on how multiple universes could exist. One theory is that Big Bang is cyclic, and a Big Bang is followed by Big Crunch, followed by another Big Bang. Another theory is that when a Big Bang happens in our universe, there is a Big Crunch happening in some other universe. One theory states that there are multiple membranes of energy very close to each other, and they are gently moving. When they touch each other, there is a Big Bang and a universe is formed. This is called 4M theory and is based on brain theory. The word brain comes from membrane. I have included a link to brain theory in the slides. Brain theory revolves primarily around string theory, which says that there are 10 dimensions, not 3. Another theory is that our universe is like an inflated balloon, and the entire existence is like a room filled with inflated balloons. No one living inside a balloon can see outside the balloon. So no one living in a universe can see other universes. Another example used to explain multiverse is a bubble wrap. Each bubble of the bubble wrap is a universe. It is also believed that the rate of balloon inflation is higher than the rate of balloon deflation. In other words, the frequency of birth of universes is higher than the frequency of their destruction. So, on a lighter note, the problem of population exists over there as well. Physicists also believe that the way we have a balance of 4 forces in our universe, there could be many such balance points for these 4 forces. In a mathematical term, they call it local minimums of equation. And each universe could be using a different balance point. Each universe could be using a different local minimum. So this is what we know through science. Our universe was created from Big Bang. There could be many such Big Bangs and many such universes. Now in Gadada Madhya 64th Vachanamritam, Purushottam Bhatt has asked the question that why does God have to create universes, have the souls take birth, live so many lives, and then destroy the universe, with the souls merging back into Mood Maya in dormant state? Why can't God just liberate them? In response to that, Sriji Maharaj has said that it is not this one universe, but many universes coexist at a given time. He has explained that just as in a huge kingdom or a country, it does not really matter if one or two villages exist or not. It does not matter if one universe is created or destroyed. It is just a part of a big, huge existence. So 200 years ago, Lord Swaminarayan has already talked about multiverse. Not only that, he explained how these cycles happen. They keep happening and universes keep existing. There is no end to it. And there is no specific need to liberate souls in a specific state of existence, be it a state of creation or state of operation or state of destruction. There is no specific need in any state to do a mass liberation. So going back to our corporate world example, in a very large corporation, it does not matter if any employee at any level resigns. The corporation still keeps running. Also, while some corporations have a voluntary retirement scheme, they do not force employees to take that, nor do they expect all employees to retire at once. The corporation continues to exist for years, irrespective of employees resigning, employees joining, employees retiring. The last project that I did was with a corporation that has existed for almost 150 years. The corporation continues to run. So I had asked this question to Anadimukrat Param Pujya Narayan Mama as well as Param Pujya Jitu Kaka that Lord Swaminarayan is almighty, all powerful. Why can't he just liberate all the souls for once and for all, irrespective of what state they are in? The answer that they both gave is that the souls and the deities at each level have to aspire for that. If they don't want to meet God, God does not force himself on them. That decision is left to the souls. If the soul walks one step towards Lord Swaminarayan, Lord Swaminarayan is so kind that he will walk 7 steps towards the soul. But the soul should want it. And yes, Lord Swaminarayan is almighty and can liberate all the souls, irrespective of whether they want it or not. But the souls will not be able to tolerate the bliss. What happens when 1,000-watt power is run through a 20-watt bulb? The filament burns. That's what will happen to the souls. They will not be able to tolerate it. And even then, if the soul is willing, then Lord Swaminarayan will give them the power to tolerate the bliss and energy. Otherwise, it will not do much good for the souls, especially for those who are not willing. So, God has found another way to liberate the souls, which is a more palatable way for the souls and the deities and everybody. And that way is creation. So in fact, the creation of universe is the machinery that helps the soul get out from the dormant state, recognize the freedom that is available to them, and get liberated and become free. So creation is made for the advantage of the souls. So this brings us to the theory of creation as explained to us by Lord Swaminarayan and Sri Abjiva Pashri. For those on WebEx, there is a chart of creation. We will take a top-down approach. Sriji Maharaj, and with his relevance for the souls, inspires a mood akshar for creation through his divine brilliance. There are infinite mood akshar residing in the divine brilliance of Lord Swaminarayan. Mood akshar is the first creator and is therefore also called divine pradyumna. Mood akshar has a subtle desire to create, but mood akshar himself does not indulge directly in the activities of creation, but in turn inspires Vasudev Brahm through his divine brilliance. Infinite Vasudev Brahm reside in the brilliance of one mood akshar. One such Vasudev Brahm, who is inspired for creation, in turn inspires Mood Purush for creation. There are infinite Mood Purush sitting in the assembly of one Vasudev Brahm. One such Mood Purush leaves the assembly of Vasudev Brahm and establishes Golok. Mood Maya, who is merged in Mood Purush, separates out. They both unite to give birth to infinite Pradhan Purush. Based on our mappings, the universe is filled with dark matter, that is the Mood Maya, and each galaxy is a Pradhan Purush. So Lord Swaminarayan has explained that universe is alive and living. At every level there is a living entity. And science is toying with the idea only now. I think we talked about that earlier today. So Lord Swaminarayan already explained this 2 centuries ago. The expansion of universe is nothing but these living entities growing up. Just as our bodies are small when we are born, and then we grow taller and bigger as we go through the years of our life, the universe also has a lifespan. And the size of the universe is related to their lifespan. Once a Pradhan Purush is born, Pradhan Maya emerges from Pradhan Purush and they establish Vaikunth. Through their unification, infinite Mahatattva are born. From Mahatattva emanates 3 types of Ahankar. The 24 elements and their deities are formed from Ahankar. These together constitute the body of Vairat Purush. The birth of Vairat Purush happens just as a child is born from Pradhan Purush and Pradhan Maya. Vairat Purush, however, worships Ahankar and is lower than Ahankar in the hierarchy. From Vairat Purush, the Trinity takes shape and Lord Brahma creates the 14 loks in the navel lotus of Vairat Purush. Brahma also gives birth to Manu and Prajapatis for further population and management of the 14 loks. So that is the theory of creation as explained by Lord Swaminarayan, and it was very easy to walk through this since we have understood the status quo in detail. Now there is one concept that we have not visited. It did not fit in our conversation till we had talked about Big Bang. Physicists believe that at the time of Big Bang, there was a speck of energy that had matter and its supersymmetry opposite, the antimatter. Both matter and antimatter were exactly the same, except that matter was just a tiny little bit more than the antimatter. 1 in a billion particles of matter survived. All the other matter and antimatter got cancelled out. So the universe is made with what was remaining from the matter and antimatter unification. Galaxies are formed with the remnant of the result of push and pull of dark matter and dark energy and the force fields. Stars are formed through remnant gases and matter from the nebulas. So effectively, the process of creation of a lower level has become possible through the remnant of a higher level creation process. This effectively means lesser and leftover resources for the lower levels, which effectively means less pleasures and less happiness. And based on what Lord Swaminarayan and Sri Abji Bapaji have told us, it is not just the physical resources for creation, but a similar remnant philosophy exists in the pleasures of the senses, comforts, powers, ability to enjoy the available resources, lifespan, etc. And of course, better the privileges, more is the attachment. But what I wanted to share was that even physicists believe that what we have is a remnant of many higher level and more resourceful processes. And it started all the way from Big Bang, and it has continued all the way down to the formation of planets and satellites. This is something that Lord Swaminarayan and Sri Abji Bapaji have already told us, is that what we have is a leftover of the higher levels. So this is how the theory of creation looks from the spiritual perspective. So far today we spent some time on stage 2 of hierarchy. We saw how time relates to universe. We looked at some scientific theories beyond Big Bang. We talked about why creation, and then we walked through the theory of creation explained in Swaminarayan philosophy. And we also quickly looked at the remnant theory. Let's now move to the last topic of the day, the phase of destruction or deluge. When talking about destruction, scientific world seems to only discuss end of the universe. They really do not seem to talk about destruction in terms of end of a star or end of a planet or end of a galaxy, but they talk directly about the end of the universe. There are 3 popular theories about end of the universe. First states that dark energy, which is pushing everything apart, will eventually pull all the atoms apart and the existence will end. Second theory states that all the energy there is in the universe, in the stars and the galaxy, will all be consumed someday. They'll all merge into the dark matter, and universe will become a cold, dark, and inhabitable place. The third theory states that just as there was a Big Bang, there will be a big crunch, and everything will merge back into an infinitesimally small speck of energy. Now let's look at what Swaminarayan philosophy says about this. Destruction or deluge is called pralay in Sanskrit, and we'll continue to use that term. So there are 5 types of pralay that we'll talk about today. For those on WebEx, the slide shows the different types of pralay. This chart is created based on Rahasyarth of Ahmedabad Prakran second Vachanamritam by Abji Bapashri. During the day of Lord Brahma, the trees, animals, humans, deities, etc., many are born and many die. This regular cycle of birth and death of everything underneath Lord Brahma is called Nitya Pralaya or daily deluge. At the end of the day of Lord Brahma or Virat Purush, after 4.32 billion human years, everything in the lower 10 worlds, from Patal to Swarg, all get destroyed. The souls of all the living things in these 10 worlds merge with Lord Brahma. The Trinity and the residents of remaining 4 loks go to sleep for 4.32 billion years. Next day they wake up and the same cycle repeats. This is called Naimittik Pralaya or destined deluge. At the end of life of Lord Brahma and Virat Purush, that is after 311.04 trillion years, all the creation, all the way up to Mahatattva, is destroyed and it merges back into Pradhan Purush. This is called Prakrut Pralaya or natural deluge. During this Pralaya, the Trinity's body gets destroyed and the soul merges into Virat Purush. Virat Purush's body gets destroyed and the soul sits in the assembly of Pradhan Purush. 24 elements and their effects is all destroyed and their soul merges back into Ahankar. Ahankar's body gets destroyed and the soul merges in Mahatattva. Mahatattva's soul merges back into Pradhan Purush. This makes the end of one day of Pradhan Purush. After an equally long night of 311.04 trillion years, one day and night of Pradhan Purush happens, and the entire creation underneath happens just like the previous day. When such 36,000 Prakrut Pralaya happen, it makes the end of life of Pradhan Purush at 22.39 quintillion years. At that time, Pradhan Maya merges back into Pradhan Purush, and Pradhan Purush merges back into Mood Maya, who in turn merges back into Mood Purush. The universe of that Mood Purush is destroyed by Mahakal, and Mood Purush goes back and resides in the assembly of Vasudev Brahm. This is the fourth type of deluge called Atyantik Pralaya or ultimate deluge. Now, if we try to map 3 scientific theories of end of universe to Atyantik Pralaya, here is how it looks. The merge of Pradhan Purush into Maya is essentially all the galaxies running out of energy and becoming part of dark matter and ending up with dark and cold universe. Mahakal destroying this work of Mood Purush can be mapped to dark energy, pulling the universe apart, followed by it all merging back into Mood Purush or followed by a big crunch. So maybe the complete theory of end of universe is not just one theory but a combination of multiple scientific theories. We are at the top of the hour, but I just wanted to take 5 more minutes of everybody's time and talk about the 5th type of deluge. The 5th type of deluge is internal to the soul. Through all the knowledge that we have acquired through our journey. Now, in one of his lectures, Anadimuktraj Param Pujya Narayan Mama has made a reference to biological theory of knowledge. This theory has many associations embedded in it: physics to biology, astrophysics to astrobiology, physics to mathematics, knowledge as a living entity and its biological lifespan, etc. I have not been able to find the original theory that Anadi Mukhraj Param Pujya Narayan Mama has referred to, but have been able to find a white paper written on the theory. I've included a link to it in today's slides, and will also share the white paper itself with the satsang. This cross-relation is something that we have already explored during our journey. Universe being living, universe having a body and soul, universe having a process of evolution, universe being a management team, universe being a physical existence, universe being a combination of many different forces existing in a perfect balance, universe being a mathematical equation, universe being a huge chemical factory, universe itself a result of prototyping by deities like Lord Brahma, universe being a 3D projection, and so on. So what this tells us is that all the different streams of education, mathematics, biology, chemistry, physics, astrophysics, language, etc., all define the universe in one way or another, and eventually they form the universe. Each stream would eventually culminate in an all-encompassing theory of formation of universe or existence of universe. So no matter which stream we start with, we will end up arriving at the all-encompassing theory of universe, the truth of creation. We also know that beyond the universe, there is a divine word, and we know the truth of that divine word as well through our journey of past few weeks. Through this ultimate knowledge, we have to understand that the perishable world is futile. Not only that, we also have to understand through this knowledge that even in the unperishable world, the only thing that matters is Lord Swaminarayan, and nothing else matters, and therefore everything else fades away in this knowledge. This is the fifth type of deluge called Gnan Pralay, or knowledge deluge. This brings us to the real purpose of our knowledge journey. The purpose is to understand the highest level of the Supreme Lord and let everything fade away in Him. As Sri Abji Bapa Shri says, remove a thorn that has pierced the body with the help of another thorn, and then throw both the thorns away. Let's use this knowledge to develop the ultimate faith and devotion in the Supreme Lord Sri Swaminarayan, and then eventually just engross ourselves and merge in the transcendent form, the Murti, and the bliss of the Murti. That is the eventual gain through this journey. So today our satsang lasted a little longer. My apologies for that. Next week is our last satsang in this series of science, spirituality, and Lord Swaminarayan. In next week's satsang, we'll talk about a soul's journey through the spiritual world, meditation, and Lord Swaminarayan and his Mukta. With that, let's pause here for today. Sajanand Swami Maharaj Ni Jai. Thank you to the Satsang Sabha for the time, and please be kind to overlook my shortcomings. Jai Swaminarayan, and Vishal Bhai, over to you.